Hello, everybody. I'm Conny Graf.
Hello, and I'm Vicki McLeod. Hi, Conny.
And we're here today to talk about our Clutter Clearing Challenge that we're doing together in 2018, February, actually, because February is the month of love and decluttering is self-love.
Oh, yeah.
And it was actually Vicki's kind of idea because she came to me a few months back and said that she would like to do some decluttering. And so we did a decluttering session with her and actually wanted to start maybe with that and say first, I wanted to ask you, what was the reason that you wanted to do a decluttering session?
Okay, thanks.
How did you get to that?
How did I get to actually making the call? There's been a couple
or
of
did you
things.
just get the idea that you wanted to do that?
Well, I think it's, to be honest, clearing clutter has kind of been a part of my journey. And I know there's something that you say, I've heard you say it and I've seen you put it in posts, that it's like peeling the onion. You start at a certain place. So, I have to say, generally, my life is pretty orderly. I'm pretty well organized. I run a business, a couple of businesses, actually, but I was noticing recently that a couple of things were happening. Number one was that as our family is aging and our elders are passing on, that we are starting to accumulate family treasure and to some degree family junk and having to make a lot of decisions about what to keep of ours, what to keep of theirs. And there's more of that coming into our lives. I know that this is the journey that we're all on. So we had just gone through that in quite a big way with my husband's mother. So we'd acquired new furniture, dishes, serving platters, teacups, all those little treasures that go with family life. And at the same time, I had gone personally through like a physical change, a weight gain. And so I had like 2 or 3 different sizes of clothes happening. And I just started to feel like my life was getting crowded and cluttered. And that also what I noticed in more than even the stuff itself was just the way that I was feeling in terms of something as simple as getting up to get dressed to go to a client meeting and having to try on 2 or 3 different things before I'd find the right blouse because this one's too tight, this one's too big, this one, having things that didn't fit well. And so I had having like doubles of everything, like 2 or 3 sizes of the same thing. And I just thought it was time to deal with it. And because I'm a coach, I work with a lot of people. One of the things we do in coaching is talk about physical environment and the impact of your physical environment on your sort of mental and emotional well-being and your efficiency. Like how effective are you being every day? Yeah. And because I know you and I really like you and
no, thank you.
Conversation earlier, people, so there's a sort of connection you feel with people or you like something about their energy or their approach. I just thought, wouldn't it be great to get some help with this? Because I have peeled the onion quite a bit myself, but I'm also dealing with things now that have a little bit more significance in many ways. Yeah. And also dealing with personal self-image, like do I let go of those size 4 clothes? Because does that mean I'm letting go of a dream of ever being size 4? The big answer is yes.
Yeah. And you're talking about your clothes, but it is actually with all our items, like they all represent something in our life. And a lot of people don't realize that we do have an energetic relationship with them, whether you're aware of it in everyday life or not, but they do. Yeah. And in your case, like keeping size 4 clothes in your closet is kind of like you're not accepting yourself the way you are right now.
Exactly. And there was something you said to me in that first session that has stayed with me. And I took a lot of notes in that session. And that was one thing I didn't write down, but it's really stayed with me. And it was, are you keeping things that represent who you are now, who you were, or who you are now? Mm-hmm. And that was so powerful to me because it really was it was the thing that I kept in my mind. Like we did work together and got the momentum going. You helped me clear out we started with my laundry room. And then since then I went on to do my drawers and my closets and I've done a lot of other areas. I'm still not finished completely. I'm doing it over into 2018.
Yeah.
But it was really that one thing that I was able to look at those size 4 clothes and say, this is not who I am today. And maybe, who knows what'll happen? Maybe something will occur and hopefully nothing tragic. I could go to that size again. But it's not right now. It's not who I am right now. And it's so, I just can't tell you and the people who might be listening to this, what a wonderful feeling it is to go into my closet and know that anything I pick is going to fit. Mm-hmm. That I don't have to go through that trying on 3 things. Yeah. I'm just trying them on to see if I like the color or I like, do I feel like that today?
Yes.
No. Is this going to fit? Is this not going to fit? Now that skirt, no, those pants, like to just go in there and go like, it doesn't matter in that closet.
Yeah.
What I choose, I'm winning because it's going to fit me.
And I think that is very important.
Yeah, it's such a huge, and that was for me, and that's that level around, because I think we were talking earlier that it's not just about housekeeping, it's about recognizing that you're going through a process as you're making these decisions and honoring that process, and having someone to, help from the outside to say, okay, well, what about the other thing I'll say, Connie, in the session with you that for me was a real turning point was when we were doing the dish towels, which, as you know, I was quite attached to because they're from travel, they represent things. They're from my life before my husband, from his life before me. We had a lot of old dish towels. But just taking them out and having another person look with me at this dish towel that was, kind of raggy and a little bit stained. And I thought, I did feel a bit embarrassed, but it was good because I thought, why am I holding this thing that brings me embarrassment in my life? And having you look at it too, I always sort of see that, even though I've had this dish towel since I was 22, I don't need to have it anymore.
Yeah, but see, most people wouldn't have thought that starting in the laundry room would be very emotional, and we're actually...
It's a very good, let's just start there. Yeah.
But it can be, and I mean, dish towels can be emotional. Like you can laugh now and you don't really have to feel embarrassed, but I have dish towels that are, when I moved out from my parents' home, I bought them and they were good quality. I paid lots of money. I still have them. Yes, I have to start and weed them out because they're starting to really break down, but because they were good quality, they're still here. And I do understand your emotional attachment to them.
But that's another, I think, good point that you're making is that also what do you have, does it have value? Is it a good enough quality to last you? Is it something you want to have in your life for a long period of time?
Yeah. Is that what you would want to have now? Or are you not, again, like we're saying, self-love and self-worth, you just use it because it's still there and you kind of feel like you don't deserve better, or why do you have it? Why are you hanging on to it?
Because as much as we, and again, we started in the laundry room, it was manageable. We needed something we could do in the time frame.
Yes.
And it was really bugging me. It was an area of my life where I was just feeling frustrated all the time. And at the same time, I could see that there was a way that I was sort of hanging on to this old version of self, this way I used to be. And in fact, that time of my life wasn't necessarily a really happy time even.
Yeah.
So even holding on, it's different. The Paris dish towels, those are a really happy memory. But the ones that I've had since I was a young single woman, when my life was a little, my life was a little bit messy for a number of years, that's not really what I want to be reminded of.
Yeah.
Or bring to mind. And so you just even in that, what is this? I know Marie Kondo talks about, what brings you joy, but which is, I think, a good question too. But for me, a much more powerful question is the one that you ask, which is this who you are now?
Yeah.
Is it shaping who you are today? And making room for the future you.
Yeah. Another one you can ask yourself is, does it lift me up? Do I feel good when I see it? Or do I feel bogged down? And especially when you're talking about, that happens a lot, that people keep stuff that is really not from happy times. Why do you keep it?
Yeah.
To punish yourself, or why exactly? And just to think about it, why? And also feel inside, how do I feel when I see it? If I don't feel good, why do I keep it? Why do I feel I need to be reminded of this bad time, and kind of dulling the experience of today, which could be a good one, and then you're putting yourself down. So it's really interesting just to think about it.
Yeah, and I like that better. I mean, I think, does it make you feel good is actually, I think, a more realistic question in many ways than does it bring you joy? Because I think joy is very elusive. Joy kind of happens in the moment, and then you're like, wow, and then, you kind of go to normal. Where does it feel good? Does it lift you? It's kind of like an incremental, I feel a bit better about this. I think that's a much more practical approach in many ways for people, or a more feeling people can identify with more easily. The other thing I was going to say about the laundry room, I think there's a lot of wisdom in the laundry room. Because I also had, other thing I was holding on to was I have a lot of crocheted dishcloths that my grandmother made. And of course, my grandmother is long gone. And so I've kept these dishcloths and not used them because, of course, my grandmother's long gone, so there's not another source for these hand knitted dishcloths. But I said, well, I keep them because they remind me of my grandmother. And you said, well, would they not remind you of your grandmother more if you were actually using them? And then every time you used one in your kitchen sink, you would think of your grandmother. And again, that was just a reframing of a question for me. It was recognizing the meaning and honoring it, but then asking the question of what is more valuable. And so I have started using those.
Wow.
And I thought I'll probably keep one that I will keep nice and pristine, and I'll put it in my little drawer where I have some really, some sacred family treasures. But yes, when I use them, I think of her, and I use them a lot more. Like I think of her now more because I'm using them than when they're sitting in the closet and I'm not seeing them, except to look at them and think, oh, that stuff, there's so much stuff in there.
Yeah. So actually you could turn something that was stressing you out into something that actually, if you want to use Marie Kondo's word, that brings you joy, because every time now you go to the sink in the kitchen, you see your grandmother's crochet cloth and you're reminded of her. And as long as these are happy memories, then that's great. So was that one of the biggest surprises you took away from the consultation?
I think it was just I think just the exploration of how much the stuff actually had meaning and attachment, even though I would have thought that, well, it's just laundry room.
It's just a laundry room.
They're just household, practical household items in the laundry. It's not like super personal, like items of jewelry or, family, like I say, other than those things from my grandmother, the family heirlooms and treasures. The other thing that I thought was quite powerful, and it was just by way of a tip, is I knew this. This is not something that happens in our home anyway, but it's just that you don't deal with other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking of that. That's a great one for people who are listening to think about if they're thinking about, like, they want to get at their husband's stuff. It's like
very important. Even their children, like maybe if they're a baby, it's a different story. But the minute they have some kind of a conscious knowledge about their things, their toys, you can't just go and take it away from them without talking with them, because in your eyes it may be not worthy to keep, and in the kid's eyes it may be his biggest treasure. So you can't just do it. And staying with husbands, friends, mothers, daughters, whatever,
it's that really respecting the person and letting them, they'll have to identify, because we did have my husband's dish towels. Luckily my husband he's always so happy when I get rid of anything. He's like, take it, go get it out of the house.
In this sense, I wanted to make a comment anyway. So whenever you're doing clutter clearing with somebody else, that whoever you're doing it with, that person should never tell you to get rid of something. It always has to be your own decision. I really, even if I do clutter clearing sessions with you, like I never told you, well, you should really get rid of this or anything. That's not my place. My place is to ask these questions that you mentioned, to try to get you to look at it from a different angle that you may not have thought of, and then come to your own decision. And if you want to keep it, that's perfectly fine. At least you're keeping it consciously. But you may decide, no, I don't need it. I actually want to let it go because it doesn't represent anymore who I am or who I want to be.
Yes, which is that other piece, which is, I think, the other really powerful thing is the making room for the new. And part of us doing this challenge together in the new year is the idea that, it's time to let new come. It's time to let the new emerge, let the future self. And it's almost like, I wrote a column, which should have come out this week, but it said, it's giving elbow room to the future self.
Yeah.
Giving space for the future self so that you're not so bogged down with the things of the past and even the things of the present. You're not so bogged down with them. There's not room for something new to show up. Because how could it show up if you have no room in your life, physically and mentally, and and it is that thing that, our things are energetic. They do hold an energy in our space. They hold an energy that we feel. Part of what we're going to do in the challenge is the mental and social clutter, which I think is planning for week 4. And there's that whole thing as well. It's like, what are the thoughts and beliefs that we're holding on to? That we must I have to hold on to that because my grandmother made it. I can't get rid of it because my mother gave it to me. My daughter made that for me in grade 4. I can't let it go. Those kinds of things, that we have these beliefs. Maybe they're our own beliefs, maybe they're conditioned beliefs, but there's a great opportunity to look at that too as we move forward. So what do you think was the biggest change since you did the clutter clearing session with me? Like, did your relationship to your items or to your belongings change? Did your thinking change? I think both. As I'm peeling the onions, so I've been through this process before, so the process was kind of familiar. What I liked that was, I think the questions that you ask, because I think you really hold the space for the process that the individual is going through in terms of the, so almost like the psychic process that's going on. That for me, I feel like those learnings are going to stay with me for a long time. And I've really noticed the difference just in my day-to-day life. And the momentum piece. Like having done the laundry room, having done my bedroom drawers, like my chest of drawers, my bedroom closet. I've started out my bathroom now. I did a bunch of digital declutter as well, which we're going to talk about in the challenge. I think that's week 3.
Week 3, yes.
So there's a momentum going now, and it's like I'm thinking, and now I'm sort of seeing even things that I probably didn't see when I first identified too. Like I have this list of things I want to go through. I'm now seeing other things like, oh, I didn't really notice that's pretty cluttery.
Yeah, but that's something that I said too, that we're never done decluttering, and that shouldn't be a daunting thought. It's more like the only constant is change, no? So we're changing, and while we're changing, we're all of a sudden looking at certain items that before were really dear to our heart, that we all of a sudden realize they don't fit here anymore, really. And so it's an ongoing thing. And we will not be done. Like you can do a burst of decluttering to get the momentum going, but then I think it's just a way of life to always kind of ask yourself, does this really fit in my life? Does this really fit what I want to do?
And I think that question, Conny, is the big overarching question that captures both our work, my work as a coach is really that thing. It's like, are you living a life that you love? And that doesn't mean that your life is always going to be 100% happy and easy. But are you choices that are the choices for you, the choices that are the right ones that fit? And I do feel like as the more that I take care of my physical environment, my health, like all of those aspects, the opportunity I have more opportunities to choose. I have more freedom of choice.
Yeah.
A small example, I'm going on a trip for work on, actually I leave on Monday, and it's a very quick trip, and it's kind of been an intense week. And like, I know I don't have to worry about packing.
Yeah.
Like I'd often be, in the last 6 months or so, be like stressing about packing, like, because I don't know what fits. I don't know what to take. I don't want to arrive in Europe with, clothes that don't fit me, because then what am I going to do? Well, I guess I could go shopping. That wouldn't be the worst thing.
Yeah.
But,
that's what most people would do.
But I have the confidence to go on this trip. So it's like there's a big yes in my life.
Yeah.
Because like my life is orderly and it works, and that my stuff is manageable.
Yeah, and that is
why I don't feel like, oh no, you can't come over because my house is messy. It's like, no, come on over. It's I'm ready for life to occur because I've set the groundwork, and this work of clutter clearing helps to set that foundation, that strong foundation to move forward from.
That is really big. I think that's really big.
I think it's huge. And I think and what I think about too is that it's something that a lot of people deal with. So when we started talking about doing the challenge, I just think it's something that can help, no matter where you are in your life or your evolution or your work, your age, it's something that you can apply.
Yeah.
That will help.
It always fits.
Yeah.
It always fits. That's why, like I said, everybody has clutter of some sort. Even if you, like we were talking about before, about even if you live a minimalistic life or you feel like you're having really decluttered everything, there is always something to declutter. If it's not your physical environment, then it may be your belief system. Maybe you have wrong beliefs that actually are not really yours, and you never even ask yourself whether they are yours. Yeah. Maybe they're just how you brought up, what your parents taught you in their best intentions, but in the end, they're actually not really yours anymore. So you can declutter that, what we're going to talk in week 4, the mental clutter, like.
And I like what you're saying too about what you're mentioning, the minimalist lifestyle, because I think for some people, the minimalist lifestyle is exactly what they're after and what they want. And I mean, there's definitely a trend happening, if we just look at what's going on in the world. Excuse me. A little bit of a cold. But that doesn't mean, like, clutter clearing isn't that you have to adopt a minimalist lifestyle. It's about what suits you.
Yes.
And getting really clear about what it is that you want, what works for you.
Exactly.
It's and knowing if you are making the choice to have a lot of stuff around you, because maybe that does suit you, like maybe that's part of your activity, or it's part of just the way that you love to have your environment, that you're doing that consciously. But that's your conscious choice.
Yes, exactly. But that what effect it has. Like, it doesn't have an effect. It does have an effect when you have a lot of things around you. As long as you're aware of it, and as long as these things that you have around you are actually really things you like, and not just things that are there because they're there for the last 20 years, so they might as well be there for the next 40 or something. As long as you're conscious about it, I think that's already a big step forward. And nobody says that you have to live a minimalistic lifestyle. And that's why I always make sure to mention it several times. I'm never going to tell you to throw anything away. I don't. This is not my place. My place is to get you to be more aware what you have around you, and is this really what you want to have around you.
Yeah, I think that's another very common intersection that I think that we have. You know, the coaching modality is much the same. It's really the coach is not there to offer you advice, tell you what to do. Although sometimes people want that, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
What to do, please. You know, it's really about asking the powerful questions that get you to your own answer. Because I really believe that people have their own answers inside.
Yes,
they have their own wisdom. We all have a lot more of it, and we actually have that part of us that's, even if someone's sitting out there listening and they're thinking, well, I'm kind of interested in this clutter clearing. Like, trust that voice.
Yeah,
part of you that knows what you need to do and where you need to go next, and just to trust it. And people like us can kind of, I don't even really like the word help, because it sort of implies a certain, like, people aren't.
Yeah, guide. I like to use guide.
Yeah, guide. And just or offer those questions that help you to kind of rediscover what you already know. Exactly. Remember what you already know, and then go, and then have the courage to kind of go there and take it on. So
yeah, and I want to say too, for the challenge, there is no place that you have to get to, or that you have to accomplish. Everybody goes on its own pace, and it's like as big or small impact they want to do. Sometimes it's and it was not such a good idea to have these huge plans. Rather make small incremental steps rather than this one huge one. So even if somebody thinks they don't have a lot of time in their life to do anything like it, I would say even with 5 minutes a day, you can make an impact on your life. Yeah. And it may increase over time, or it may stay at 5 minutes, but any little change will end up making a big change eventually.
It has an impact. It's like that butterfly effect, you know, when the butterfly flutters its wings and creates a gale. And I do think that, and I believe that really strongly, and it's part of, again, a shared philosophy I think that we have, which is that, you know, if you're on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, you feel like you're at a 1, you don't have to go from 1 to 10.
No.
You go from 1 to 1.5.
Exactly. Or to 1.1 if that's all you can manage, you know.
It's progress, and you're making those steps forward, and they will have an impact. Every action has an impact of some kind, right? So it's just being clear about what the action is that you're taking and why you're taking it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about setting yourself up for success. And if you aim for a 10, but you kind of know that you can't make a 10, then you're setting yourself up for a failure. So you want to make sure that you actually can reach what you want to do, and then you can always build up more. You can always do more. But we want to set up to be winning and not to be losing, you know.
So let's tell them a bit about the challenge. So it's going to be simple and gentle.
Yeah, simple and gentle, and not like you have to spend 1 hour a day going in you and whatever, or going through all your possessions. The idea is that I give you prompts, and you can, even if you have only 5 minutes a day, you can do something for 5 minutes. If you can commit to 20 minutes, that is actually almost a perfect amount. So you just go for 20 minutes maybe. Other people may feel they need to do more. So it's but the whole setup that is here is that everybody can do something, and that you're making little progress. And I'm just giving little prompts, and you will, from your experience, will chime in too, and give from your perspective. And we're giving little tasks that you can accept or not, and we're making them flexible enough that they fit for everybody.
So we'll start week 1. We're talking about having looking at household tips for household.
Where you live. Like if you just live still at home, even with your parents, you can just take your room. Like if that's, you can start there, or if you own a 6,000 square foot home, you just start in your home there. Our physical surroundings.
Household and paperwork, which you call taming the paper beast. Is that right? Taming.
I actually call it taming your file monster. That's how I call it, but paper beast is just fine.
So that's going to be, and I think that, and that's going to lead us, because I think that that's such an important one. And I know you have on your website a downloadable PDF of like what are the important documents you need to have. And I found that useful. I downloaded that earlier in the fall when we started talking, and my husband and I are kind of going through making sure, you know, making sure we've got all of those things looked after, and that's a really useful little tool. So we're looking at files, paperwork, and then we're going to swing into week 3, which will be digital.
Digital, which is becoming bigger and bigger problem for all of us. No, the more our cell phone can do in our hand, the more we're bogged down with digital clutter.
Yes, and just even I can't even believe that there was a time that I never thought I would ever need like a gigabyte of data, and now I have
Yes.
40 gigabytes and I'm running out. I had to have my guy in to clean out my stuff recently, which was great. I got at that. So we're inviting Angela Crocker to join us in that week. She's writing a book called Declutter Your Data that comes out, I think, at the end of January. And
Perfect.
so we'll be also offering us some additional expertise on top of the stuff that you already are going to be bringing. So that'll really help. And even for people, we want to be really clear. You don't have to be in business for that week, because the stuff we're going to be talking about will apply to.
It applies to all of us. I watched a movie when I was on the airplane when I came back from Switzerland about the first flight to the moon. And actually, they say that the computers they used back then could do way less than any single cell phone we're having now in everyday use.
Isn't that amazing?
So that's how powerful this little cell phone is. And most of us have one. Even if we don't have a fancy one, we still have a cell phone. Or we go on the internet sometimes and automatically we're bogged down with all kinds of digital clutter. It's just the way it is these days, and we all are not used to it yet, how to manage this as much.
Well, I have a very how shall I put it, a very direct tech guy. He's very honest and direct. He doesn't have a lot of filters. And he was looking at some of my stuff, and I said, well, can you just open up? I'm having problems downloading something. So he opened up my downloads, and he said, what a mess. I thought, well, that's pretty blunt. Like, but it's like that moment of looking in the laundry room closet, and you go like, oh my gosh, what a mess, right? Digital, right? Same. So I got very inspired to do quite a bit there as well. So that'll be a really neat week. And then we'll go into week 4, which is the mental and social clutter, which I think is also going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
Who are people, activities, things you're saying yes to that really don't serve you?
Yes.
Are you cluttering your life with stuff and people, not stuff, but activities and to-dos and people socially that aren't really, it's not really serving you or moving you forward in your life. And then, so, I mean, I don't think that hopefully we're not going to provoke any divorces or that kind of.
I don't think that's the goal. That's not the goal. It's not about decluttering people necessarily, although sometimes drastic measures.
It can be. And I think it's important that people look at, are you saying yes when you mean no, or are you in relationships that aren't really, one of my friends says, do they lift you up? It's that same kind of thing. Do you feel good in this relationship or don't you? And then not necessarily about ditching the relationship, but what can you reorganize it?
Yeah, exactly. Becoming more aware. And I always say it was not my original idea. I got it from somebody, but I forgot from whom. But the question is always like, when you say yes to this thing, what are you saying no to?
Yes.
And are you making sure that what you're saying, when you're saying,
yes. You can call it the yes/no framework. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
that might have been me. That you heard that from. But that's very important. It's that, when you're saying yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. And when you're saying no, you're saying yes.
Yeah.
The other important part of the framework. So you might be saying no to a certain kind of person, activity in your life, but then you're saying yes to another part of yourself.
Yeah. And is that your priority or is it not your priority? So that is kind of basically week 4, which is also a part of clutter that we carry around that most people are not aware of, that it is clutter. Or that it can be.
And that mental clutter, those thoughts that we think, those kind of the stuff that we sort of get attached to in our brains that we really haven't stopped to question. So I think that's going to be a really interesting week. As well, because it's a little bit different. I think it's a little bit different than what other kind of clutter clearing challenges might offer, or other programs.
I think all weeks are going to be very interesting because, like we said at the beginning, like nobody would think laundry rooms are a very insightful place to declutter, but they can be. And so every week has its own little gems in it. So
the little laundry room epiphanies. That's what.
Laundry room epiphanies. That would be a good blog post. Laundry room epiphanies.
So people can look at this one and get some of the laundry room insights. So then for the challenge, basically what we're asking and inviting people to do is to sign up. Connie's going to make sure that there's the sign up link to the list where we will be using that list to send out the weekly tips, all the welcome information that you're going to need to have. You can start signing up now. We're going to launch it for the 1st of February. because we want to give people the month of January to get ready.
Mhm.
And so February 1st, it'll start because decluttering, we're saying. Clutter clearing is self-love.
Yes,
the way of
self-love.
for February. And it'll go for the month for 4 weeks. And then they can also sign up either on your website or my website as well.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
inviting people. We're also promoting this through something I have called the Big Fat Yes Club, which is a club about saying yes.
Yeah. To the right thing.
In business or in your personal life, and people are welcome to join that club as well. We've got other goodies there, and we'll be really cross-promoting this work. We've already had some really good interaction in there with Conny.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you sign up, make sure you also join the Facebook group, because
Yes.
we're having a party in there already where we're starting to discover and explore.
Yeah, really interesting, because you're asking people to talk about their pain points.
Yeah.
What's really bugging them. And it's interesting what people are, and everyone's different. Everyone has a slightly different.
Exactly. Yeah. So we haven't started the discussion already, but it's not too late to join, because the real challenge starts in February. We're just having the pre-party now.
That's right. Getting yourselves ready. Yes. Good.
Yeah.
So anything else that people need to know, or?
I don't think so. Like, for me, I think it's good. We talked about a lot, I think, and they should just come and experience us.
Yes,
Get to know us, get to know each other, and then we can go through this experience together. And I think that's one thing that maybe we haven't touched yet. But I think when we go through something like this together as a challenge, it's not about competing. It's more about having the community and having to motivate each other and seeing what others are doing, and then maybe getting insights and epiphanies, like you call them, into our own life. And it's more energizing to do that with a group or with somebody else than just by yourself. So that's another reason.
And I often say that, like, I think somehow we got a social conditioning that we have to do things alone.
Yeah, I don't know.
By ourselves. Yeah. And I often say to people, like, you don't have to do it alone.
No,
we're all here together on this big, beautiful planet. We're here to support each other.
Exactly.
Nobody needs to be in this life alone. And there's, to be supported, fully supported by people, I think is just really, really a wonderful experience. And it's also to know that you're not the only one.
Exactly.
Like, I think, well, gee, am I the only person who can't seem to get a handle on what's going on underneath the bathroom sink? And then I find out, no, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Having all of that extra stuff that they don't need. And so that there's something reassuring about that too. And also knowing that people are sharing the journey as you go forward. And inspiring one another.
And what we will, both of us will make for sure, is that it is a safe place to share, that nobody gets judged, and it's not about judging. We all battle with demons, and it might be the sink, the cabinet under the sink for you, and it is something completely different for me, and it's something different again for the third person. So it's more about, like, helping each other and supporting each other, motivating each other. Going to be very safe and warm, welcoming place.
Yeah, and fun.
And fun. Yeah, we all have to have fun with it too.
Awesome. Okay. Feels
That's
good.
It.
Good. Thank you.
So sign up below and come join us. Okay. Bye.